Peace going out to you and yours, me and mine. It's go time. we're going below the epidermis. It is the higher discussion. Sorry about the loss in volume at that particular moment. We are prime time with a purpose. Don't get nervous. We're going below the epidermis. Sorry to repeat that. If you heard me the first time, that's great. If you did not, I had to repeat it for the big head, big ear people in the back that can't really get it. So we are going to move on. Put it in the chat where you at. We are blasting off from 5 Facebook channels. We're blasting off from YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and we would love to blast off from Instagram. But unfortunately, I have to reconcile with my link for for Instagram, and then we'll be able to continue on with it. And tonight we are here for this evening. The Know the Ledge news. That's right, Know the Ledge. What does it mean to know the ledge? Well, that means to know danger. That means to know knowledge. That means to be aware. That means to know yourself and your surroundings. And if you know thy enemy, you not fear the outcome of 100 battles. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. So let's get started, man. We need you, though, to have a higher discussion. We need all my melanated people in the building to jump on in. We getting deep enough to swim in. We had to change the digs a little bit. I'm at another location because my attic studio is being renovated. I'm trying to bring you guys some different, ambiance, what have you. So, we can't use that right now. But what we can use right now is this right here. The ancestors and elders blueprint. And why could we use it? Because we're coming up on that season. You know what I mean? Thanksgiving is right around the corner. So that's time to reflect, right? On whatever your, denomination might be. Some people call it a spiritual holiday. Some people call it giving thanks. And some people, see the commercialism in it. I happen to be one that see the commercialism in it. And I also happen to be one that has native background to my family. So I'm not going to celebrate a death holiday, especially when the day after was pegged for commercialism, the entire weekend for that matter. And then that following Monday was pegged for online commercialism. But let's get into the ancestors and elders blueprint, because we have the abominable Dr. Neely Fuller back from Hip Hop Cartoons with another one just for you. It's some wisdom. I want you to sit back, relax, and digest. Let us know in the comments. Please communicate with us. We can't have this show without your word. Thanks to those who are already on, that are already watching. We got it popping. We are here right on The Real HD. This is a deep topic Dr. Neely Fuller is about to get into. If you've ever read any of his books, he is a super straight shooter. He's of the Dick Gregory school, where he's a super straight shooter. And if that ruffles your feathers, maybe you need to turn. Maybe you need to go watch some kitty cat videos or something. I don't know. But if you're melanated people and you're concerned for our future and our longevity, then this one is for you. Ancestors and Elders Blueprint, the Honorable Dr. Neely Fuller in all his wisdom on Hip Hop Cartoons. Check it out.
Blame for something that somebody else did. But now the question is, what do we have now? The question is, do we have slavery now? And the answer is, yes. What is slavery? See, that's what I mean by the definition of words. Someone raised the question some time ago, when did slavery end? And the answer is, it didn't. As long as you have one person mistreating another, you have slavery. That's all slavery is. One person mistreating another. If I go out here and mistreat someone right now, during the period that person is being mistreated, even if it's for 5 minutes, that person is my slave. Why? Because the person is being mistreated. Slavery is nothing but synonymous with mistreatment. There's no such thing as slavery ending until mistreatment ends.
For everybody.
So, white supremacy is a slave system. So the question now is also, do we have white supremacy? The answer to that question is, according to the evidence, yes.
Yes.
So therefore, slavery didn't end because white supremacy didn't end. So yes, that person is guilty, suspected of being guilty. That's the way you say it when you use words, because there's no way you can prove that the person is guilty. You got nobody to prove it by.
But they're
you say
suspected.
you are. If you're white and you're able to practice racism, you should be suspected of being a racist if you're able to be one.
Okay.
Right now in 2017
Okay.
on this planet. Why? Logically speaking, because the only system of government on the planet is the system of white supremacy. There's no other form of government. So any white person who is able to be a racist probably is one. You can't prove that the person is one, but you can't prove that the person is not one. All right? So that makes the person a what? Racist suspect.
Suspect, yeah.
Right.
What's
That's
your second
the term.
What's your,
Racist suspect.
Oh.
Never call a white person a racist. Why? Because you have no way of proving it.
Okay.
Don't ever do that.
We are back, Real HD Show. That was our ancestors and elders blueprint. And what did you get out of that? Let us know in the comments. That was very powerful by Dr. Nelly Fuller. Shout out to Hip Hop Cartoons, fair use, fair use. Thank that brother for all his great work. Go check him out. Go mob his channel, like and subscribe. And while you're at it, come on through and you can like and subscribe this show right now. Share it like crazy. Get in here like crazy. And if you want to join the show, there is something that you can do. You could jump right on this link right here, streamyard.com YYDZFA94SI. YYDZFA94SI. And if you're feeling really frisky and you like who we are and how we get down, you too can donate to our causes. Just like you saw on the promotions that started the show, you can donate to the show, um, so that we can keep building all those interesting shows. $ the real HD. We like the tools and fuels, but we like the big bills and the big contributions as well. They do much more damage. They are much more useful than the tools and fuels. So thank you, Asante Sana, ahead of time, right? So let's jump right into our next segment that we always get into, our AAT report. Why? Because we need to be healthy, wealthier, and wiser, right? Because a couple of years ago, functional events on the planet Earth tried to rob us in a catastrophe like fashion of our cell power, and we can't have that, right? So let's get into it. We got a couple of things to discuss along the lines of the AAT report. It's going to be a good one. Tune in, get it in, get your comments in. Let's have a higher discussion. Cue the music.
Erectile dysfunction can be a problem for some man. If that's you, check out this one. Or ladies, check it out for your husband. Some have to take medication. I see adverts on the television. Did you know there's a natural one? Oh yes, watermelon. Watermelon's got something in by the name of citrulline, said to be blood flow increasing, said to be blood vessel relaxing. People use it for exercising, eating the flesh and juice drinking. But for the ED, here's the thing, most of the citrulline's in the skin. So for erectile dysfunction, use all parts of the watermelon, blend a couple slices with the skin and blend it till you get a smooth potion. Then it's done. Drink it later. Hopefully later will be greater. Then you give thanks to the creator for the natural Viagra. A medical Monday. Yes, sire.
That's right. We're back. Real HD Show. That was our AAT, or part of our AAT report, Aero Aqua Terra. Shout out to Sincere. Everything under the land, sea, and air we will cover if it can give you cell power. That was Maccabee talking about watermelon and a unique ingredient called citrulline that is in watermelon that enhances erectile dysfunction. Um, I'm not sure how many brothers suffer from this, but I know there's enough out there to have this make a difference in your life. Now, there's a particular remedy that you can go to and that you can blend, and you can go and buy these particular fresh items. Um, I would always do the natural items before I do the pharmaceutical type pills like Blue Chew and Viagra and all that other stuff, because that stuff can really jack up your blood pressure and your circulatory system, and you be on rock for like 9 hours and got to go to the hospital and get blood drained and all type of wild stuff, right? Get your blood pressure lowered to lower than a woman's blood pressure. And men naturally run hotter than women, so you don't want to have to go through all of those steps just to enjoy your masculinity. But here's a potion that's very responsible that works. Okay, so you can of course eat the watermelon, of course, right? But you scoop out the rind of the watermelon, right? The green part where the citrulline is, right? Then you put that in a pot. Then you get some pomegranate. You scoop out the seeds of the pomegranate, put that in the pot. Then you get what is it, ginger, and you also get garlic, and you put those things in a pot. And I believe cabbage is also a vero substance that you can use. And you blend all those things in a pot, and then those things contribute, and then you drink it down. You drink down the not the pulp, but you drink down the tea that's brewed, and then you have a natural you know booster for men's sexual vitality right there. Natural booster. Pomegranate, watermelon, ginger, um, ginger and garlic for the inflammation, cabbage. You blend it all. I'm not blend it, or you can blend it too, right? But you steam it, steep it, steam it, right? Or steam it, steep it, right? And then you drink it as a natural tea. And it's flavorful, so it's not going to be yucky. It's not going to be something that is going to jack you up. And it's going to be a natural enhancer. And at the very least, it'll keep you healthy. It'll keep that prostate healthy. It'll keep all of the parts functioning. It'll keep them balls nice and low instead of being nice and high, right? It'll do everything. Hey, we grown folk here, man. You know what I'm saying? If we can't say what it is, then I ain't got no business being on here, right? So that's one of the thanks to Maccabee once again for letting us rock out with his version of the Medical Monday, but it's a Wednesday, it's Hump Day, and we got a couple of other things to get to on the AAT report. Okay, one of them is this right here: thousands of Black women claim hair relaxers have given them cancer. Wow. Now this is a subject that we really need to chef up, right? And that's because we here today, man. We here to know the ledge. We here to know the dangers. We are here to know the degrees of things that could jack us up out here in this world. We here to be knowledgeable and aware. So let's talk about it, right? So here's a woman, and I believe she's wearing a wig, but this is her uh, being forthright about her cancer journey. And she went on this cancer journey because she had a steady diet of hair relaxers. And according to the hair relaxers and the chemicals within the hair relaxers, um, she got uterine cancer. Isn't that funny? You would think it would be some sort of brain cancer, right? But it's actually uterine cancer. And it's off the hook. It says more than 7,000 lawsuits. Wow, 7K in lawsuits in the US allege that at least a dozen cosmetic companies, including well-known brands as L'Oreal and Revlon, let's talk about it, talk black to me, sold hair relaxers containing chemicals that increase the risk of developing uterine cancer and failed to warn their customers. Let's talk about it. If you have ever suffered from this and you need more information about it or have a journey about it, please, if you're listening, you could do somebody else such a service. You could do someone else such a um, solid by talking about this. Let's get into it. Sheila Bush, a cosmetologist, was lounging in a recliner, urging viewers um, to call a toll free number if they or a loved one had used hair relaxers and been diagnosed with uterine cancer. After seeing the ad 3 times, Bush said that she used hair relaxers every 6 weeks of her life. That creamy crack, right? And was diagnosed with uterine cancer about a decade ago. On television, as well as social media ads, were part of a nationwide effort by law firms to sign up women, black sisters, to file lawsuits against L'Oreal and Revlon, who sold them hair relaxers with chemicals that increased the risk of uterine cancer and failed to warn customers about it. Hair straighteners such as Dark and Lovely, L'Oreal, Revlon's Cream of Nature are all marketed overwhelmingly to sisters, right? The article says women of color, according to the lawsuits. Some of the ads show black women applying hair products before cutting to a summary of the National Institute of Health's findings. I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, let me see. Let me just pop into my backstage to see if my mic is on. 2 turntables and a mic. 1 fly MC on the set. All right, good. We're good. Okay. So back to it. Thousands of women claim hair relaxers gave them uterine cancer. You would even think it would be like some sort of cranial cancer, but it's uterine cancer. L'Oreal and Revlon told Reuters their products are subject to rigorous safety reviews. The company noted that the authors of the NIH study didn't draw definitive conclusions about the cause of women's cancer, and that research is warranted. This is excerpts from television advertisements on hair relaxers from the 70s to 2014, especially this one found on YouTube. The makers of these products are seeking uh, to dismiss the lawsuits against them. Um, Ben Crump, who represented the George Floyd family, the black man murdered by Minneapolis police, um, filed the hair relaxer lawsuit on behalf of a Missouri woman, Jenny Mitchell, shortly after the NIH was published. The NIH study was published. Since then, 7,000 similar lawsuits have been filed. Um, the vast majority of the plaintiffs were women of color, black sisters, according to Jane Conroy, a lawyer that has filed 550 hair relaxer cases, adding that the attorneys did not have the full demographic data on their clients. How about it? If you listening and any you anywhere in the sound of my voice, and you got a hair relaxer story that's crazy or interesting, or you just want to chime in on this topic, jump in. The water's fine. If you had a creamy crack disaster, please let me know. They even made the movie, not Hairspray, Beauty Shop. And in the movie, they hailed over the sister making her own, the sister that Queen Latifah was playing, which was the beauty shop owner, making her own version of a hair relaxer that everybody in the town was breaking their neck to come and get involved with and put it in their hair. And then of course, um, the white dude in the movie was had that craziness, and I think at one point he put it in somebody's hair and somebody's hair fell out. Let me know at home if y'all remember that. beauty shop situation, and let me know if you guys have experienced any creamy crack disasters. Now, here's what I will say: that alopecia is a real thing, and I think the alopecia is being has an onset moment because of the culture of women getting fried, dyed, and laid to the side with their hair. All of that chemical being put in your hair for years and years and years. And then, of course, the brushing back or the braiding back or the pulling back from the root. Um, it's just like men when they get their hair uh, lined up by that hot razor. And I know a lot of brothers that did that every stinking week. And there's a lot of brothers walking around with ridiculous receding hairlines because you basically scarred the formation of your baby hair with the activities that you're doing to groom yourself. So hit me up, man. Let me know if you guys are feeling me on this issue. Let me know. And also, something I also noticed that was really interesting about this is how many women over 40, maybe even over 50, just say bucket and they just lock their hair. Have you noticed that trend that a lot of sisters over that age point and at that age period, with all the damage that's done from the creamy crack, they just wind up going and locking their hair. Now, what's interesting about that is those sisters could have locked their hair years ago and grew nice, long, luscious locks, have the long, luscious, natural hair that black men prefer. But of course, you chasing that creamy crack dragon. You know what I'm saying? Let us know if you have had a story or two or three or a friend or a relative that had a hair disaster over the creamy crack, because now we're at the point where it's giving sisters uterine cancer. So we want to be careful. We want to stay away from that. And if we can, and if you have to get the if this is like the way you make your money, if you're a star, if you're some sort of celebrity or you're some sort of whatever you are, and you think that this is something that you have to have, I would say try to find a way to have natural products involved with what you're doing. But just know, because you're putting that heat on your hair and those chemicals on your hair, you're running the risk of thinning the roots of your hair and alopecia setting in. So let us know, man. Hit us up in the chat. We here for it. We could discuss it. It's the Real HD Show. Let's have a higher discussion. Okay. So the next one is this one here, and the next one and last one. Tyson Foods, one of the biggest meat producers, is investing in insect protein. Wow, what is that about? Right. So let me pull that up, family, and let's get to it, man. How we supposed to do it? You know what I'm saying? Tyson Foods, insect protein. Okay, here we go. This is super interesting, right? Okay, according to CNN, Tyson Foods is investing in one of the biggest meat producers is investing in insect protein. Okay, so it says out of New York, Tyson, a major U.S. beef, chicken, and pork producer, is betting on protein that comes from insects. The meat producer said on Tuesday that it invested in Protex, a Netherlands-based insect ingredient maker. Tyson's is not only the majority stake in the company, right, but it's also working alongside to build a U.S. factory. That facility will use animal waste to feed black soldier flies, which then will be turned into food for pets, poultry, and fish. Tyson did not disclose the financial specifics of the deal. Those flies are not going into human food at this point. Very important. Today, we are focused on more of an ingredient application with insect protein than we are a consumer application. Uh huh. Okay. Insect protein is long held as a sustainable food source. hasn't caught on in the mainstream. But in recent years, interesting facts as ingredients for the animal food has been growing. This is out of CNN Business. You guys could check this out. I think it's super interesting. I think it's super uh I think it's super central to what's going on right now with you know, sorry about the beeping phone. I'm getting a lot of notifications. Hit me up, man. Give me some notifications. Hit me up in the chat. Hit me up in the comments. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Let's go, family. We need this, man. This is vital information. So once upon a time, or once upon an episode on the Real HD show, we did a show that featured insect protein going into or being a new frontier for foods, especially for foods that will feed folks who are like indigent, who are on welfare, that can't afford those other types of foods, and that also, um, if you have a universal basic income package, these sort of these are the this will be the new way that they process foods with animal protein mixed in. So in other words, like you know how you don't know how the sausage is made, but you know the sausage is a component of a lot of junk meat materials. Well, the new food will be a processed version of a lot of animal and insect protein junk materials. The stuff, the scraps that don't make the cutting room floor in these factories will get cleaned up, processed, put into a plastic packaging that's biodegradable, and served to you as some version of some sort of eat. You know what I'm saying? And especially for those who have UBI who can't really afford um, a lot of the food that is out here. You know what I mean? When you get your food box, or you go to the store with your EBT or SNAP or whatever it is, however they're serving it to you now, but they're giving you benefits, food benefits. This will be the stuff that will be, in the jurisdiction for you to feed your family, and that's crazy, man. That is absolutely crazy. Very, very vigilant. And then, of course, hearing that coming from Tyson, which is gotta be flyer in the whole damn country, let alone the world, talking about what they're doing, that means they're already doing it. And they just haven't gotten around to making it public or making it part of their IPO strategy. It just hasn't been strategic enough to them to um, make it mainstream. So yeah, man. So this was part of the Tyson Foods. Crazy, man. I tell you what, I wouldn't eat no pot pies or I wouldn't eat no TV dinners by Tyson Food. That's for damn sure. That would not be my, my road to hoe at all. I would leave that whole shit alone. You know what I'm saying? Anything for the next 10 years, you can forget about it going in this body. And brothers and sisters, y'all should not invest in that at all anyway. So, you know what I'm saying? So, interesting, interesting, interesting. That has been our AAT report, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wiser. I hope you guys got something out of it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of it, what you guys think of the stories. Um, do you like the AAT report? Would you like to see it continue? And which ways would you like to see it continue? Next week, Wednesday, we have Glows Forever. And she's a super, not only is she super pretty, but she's a super duper wellness professional, and she will be on the show to give her version of a good wellness track for people to be on. Being that the holidays are coming up, being that the winter's here for the Northeast, and that vitamin D plays that lack of vitamin D plays a role in things. She's gonna hip us to a lot of different things that we can do, um, logistically, boots on the ground to be well. And that was our AAT report, man. Let us know how you like it. Respond to it. Comment. Let's get her done. And as usual, it's time for Power to the People News. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Local news: Rochester, the city of Rochester, is under a state of emergency due to gun violence. So I make my home in the Rock, all right? Um, and this has been an overwhelming problem for years now. Now, that's not to say that every state doesn't suffer with some form of gun violence, because they do. They do. I'm trying to pull up the article now, family. Give me 1 second. Let me look at my history. Let me just pull the live join on there because I know I just looked at it not too long ago. Yeah, so everyone deals with some form of gun violence in their city, town, or county, right? But for Rochester, it's been, particularly damning, especially over the summer. But let me read you a byline. City of Rochester Mayor Malik Evans issued a continuance on a series of proclamations made executive order geared toward addressing ongoing gun violence. The newly extended state of emergency expires on November 13th, so that was 2 days ago. Evans' current emergency proclamation states that as of October 13th, 2023, that's how old this article is, so last month, there have been 243 shooting victims in the calendar year between 2020, calendar year 2023, and 339 shooting victims in the calendar year of 2022. This executive action is undertaken by Evans to address the threat that gun violence poses to the health and welfare of the city of Rochester residents and visitors. Um, the mayoral power to declare such an emergency state is granted under the New York State Executive Law, Section 24. A local state emergency within any part or all territorial limits of such local government. In the absence of the reissuance, the current state of emergency automatically expires within 30 days of the issuance by the mayor. So, what do you think, man? Are you in Iraq? Are you in New York? Are you in the Northeast? Or do you just live in a city where they like to go pop, pop, right? Where you be sleeping in your city and you're dwelling in your home and you're in the middle of the night and you have, and you know that's not a car backfiring. You know that's that thing going down. And then on adjourning blocks to yours in the morning, you find out that something jumped off. Do you live in those environments? I find myself saying to myself, um, there's a quality of life that people have who are not in the city that the city dwellers don't have. And I don't think if the suburban folks or the rural folks don't have to hear those types of bumps in the night that disrupt their sleep and make them and wake them out of their slumber and disrupt their families, then why do people in the city have to deal with it? I could tell you why people in the city have to deal with it. Number one, there's so many gun legislations in the cities of America that it's almost impossible for you to buy a gun straight out in the city. Impossible. You have to sit it, especially in the state of New York. You got to sit an interview. There's all type of rigmarole that you got to go through in order to get a gun in the city of or the state of New York. All kind of red tape, right? Because I know what I had to do to get my little shoddy, right? So, I think it's critical to have one because of these race soldiers and the fact that people are affected by savage inequalities that make their mental health at a premium or at a weakness to a degree. But where are the guns coming from into the major cities if the legal way to get a gun is so discriminatory? It's coming in the cities the way it always came into the cities through illegal means. And nobody wants to really talk about that. Now, if the street culture feels the need to brandish guns, there's a way you can stop that. Stop the savage inequalities. Develop cities. Um, give people a decent living wage for a decent day's job or a decent day's work. Pay people benefits so they don't feel like they have to hit the street, hit the opioids, hit the drugs, and then hit the old lady over the head with the butt of a gun or hit somebody that they got beef with over some savage money making situations. Hey, that's what I got on the subject matter. You let me know what you think on the Real HD. Power to the People News. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. RG&E. That's right, Rochester's Gas and Electric. Legislators reject funding for public utility company study. It says a previous organized town hall meeting did not stop the Monroe County legislator from rejecting funding for a comprehensive study to replace the gas and electric company that rules upstate New York with a community owned utility company. On Tuesday night, the Monroe County legislature rejected allocating 1 million toward funding a comprehensive study to explore the feasibility of replacing RG&E with a community-owned company. The decision comes after a town hall meeting organized by Monroe County legislature. Now, this is fundamental for a couple of reasons, family. And one of the reasons that this is fundamental is because it's a utility. That's how your gas is done, you know, is gotten to heat your homes and heat your water. And it's how your electricity is gotten to um, power your homes. And if someone or some entity, company, has a monopoly on the ability to provide that, and it really hasn't changed because they tried this antitrust situation where they kind of tried to split it up in all these different all these different types of companies, and it didn't do a thing. It didn't maximize people's sovereign right to control their own ability to have gas and electric delivered to them at a fair price. What it did do for a lot of people, though, and especially, after talking to my mother-in-law and a couple of other people, you develop two different sorts of bills. You develop the bill to the um, independent company and a bill to RG&E or whatever gas exchange that you had because they own the power lines to it. They own the gas lines. Now, the only way that I can think of in this particular climate where you can beat the unfair advantage that monopolies like RG&E have over, service providing to you, this sort of utility, is to get solar paneling. Now, I'm not sure about what that means for gas. You're probably going to have to still go back to RG&E for gas, but at least if you solar panel your house, and it's free in New York too, you have to just apply for the grant. It's free. Um, next show, I'll have the grant on there. I'll put the grant on the screen so that you guys can know the URL and you guys can go and apply for the grant to, you know, have it, put on your homes for free. And that super duperly reduces the bill. Shout out to my man Averin Collier, who this is what he does. He puts up solar paneling for people. So contact Averin. I know he does FAU SmartWise Rochester. I think he's still involved in that. So check him there. Hit him up in the DMs there on Facebook and ask him how you can get involved with the solar paneling program because it's crap that they're going to decrease funding for a study when there's been up teens amounts to up hundreds of lawsuits against the power company in upstate New York for their unfair practices. And we need to continue to apply that pressure. Um, Yeah, man. So it's the Real HD Show. Um, and I wanted to get into something before we go too far. So you know how I've been talking about my series on opinion apartheid, right? And that has to do with the all-out aggression against people who speaking out against for Palestine and against the new Khazars, right? Um, therefore, um, that whole thing is ongoing. And if you watch the last show, you found out that that particular ongoing saga was one of particular interest because there was an end game to it. And the end game to it was not only to take over the Gaza Strip, which was and West Nile Bank, which was they think that is they think they're entitled to that through biblical canon, but it's also to take over the waterway and trade access that uh, the Suez Canal provides. And they want to create another canal in the area that runs directly into the Red Sea. And they want to monopolize trade in the area along that river, and along that canal stretch, which is really, really interesting. You guys should go online and check that out. But not only do they have um, plans to do that, but they also have plans to make the Gaza, the West Nile, and that entire area into smart cities, 15-minute cities ran and government controlled by Israel. And they want to make the Palestinians the problems of Egypt and Iran by imperialistically moving those people off their land by force, which has already happened, razing the ground through bomb and through military fire, and uprooting those people from their homes and from their claim that is thousands of years old. But here at home in America, or in the United States as we call it, there is opinion apartheid. So that means you can't speak out on um, what you say or what you feel or what you think on the issue, especially if it goes against and it's seen as anti Semitic. And it's interesting because melanated people are already Semitic people by nature, by lineage, by genealogy. So that is a super duper misnomer. And what it dictates and what it denotes is that these people are playing power games because they're talking about the state of Israel being Semitic, not people's lineage. Because they lose in the lineage game. They lose in the um they win in the appropriation game, but they lose in the lineage game. And it's affecting people. You got millionaires and billionaires pulling out of colleges because college kids are speaking their minds about it. You got people being blacklisted, people being fired left and right from all sorts of civic and educational and school related jobs because of it. Lawyers, all kinds of people. They put in the heavy on people who are speaking out against this. But there's one thing that's interesting, right? And I'm going to show you a clip, and then let's get back and talk about it when the clip is over. Check this out. Real HD Show.
Convention here in the United States. One of the people in attendance at this secret meeting was Judith Varney Shorer. She's a former Israeli consul general who was operating out of Atlanta. She was one of the main people saying that the biggest problem that they had was young black people in the United States. But don't worry, they've got some black leaders on the payroll.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community. The problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community.
So what in the world does that mean? That's her quote. There's more to go. So let me finish playing it. Go ahead.
Young generation of the black community.
This was an Israeli government official who was saying this, not some low level operative or some rogue member of their diplomatic corps. This was a senior member of their administrative government who was saying this on American soil. Their biggest problem wasn't Hamas or Hezbollah or the Palestinian Authority or Syria or even Iran. She said that Israel's biggest problem was young black people in the United States.
Yeah, man. Fair use. Shout out to the Black Authority. Go check out their channel, mob their channel, like, share, subscribe to them. They give a lot of great tidbits. I had that in the kitty for quite a while, and just didn't play it. So this Israeli official says that the problem with that one of the bigger problems that we have to deal with, I'm guessing from a social standpoint, because black people don't have a standing army to threaten Israel with. So from a social standpoint, black people are an issue. Young black people, and black culture is an issue. Now, I admit we have a whole lot of problems, but um, I think it's kind of cap that you're just going to, quantify and name and blame black folk for the state of your youth and the state of worldwide problems, as it were. So let's talk about that for a second. Let me know what you think about that clip that we just saw. Let me know what you think about what the Israeli official just said. And sometimes when these things happen and it comes from a female's voice, and it doesn't have the harsher tones and the harsher overtones, then people don't feel as threatened by it. But make no mistake, that was a threat. That was a threat. And I got young people in my life. I teach young people. I have a lot of my dealings that revolve around young people. And I got three beautiful young people in my life who I brought on this earth that I don't want to see anything happen to them simply because they are practicing our culture. But let's get to it, man. Um, that area of the world is super religion heavy. You either are a Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim. And perhaps that sort of dogmatic way of expressing culture has run its course for the young people. And the young people are looking and appropriating black culture from pop media sources, the internet, videos, YouTube, etc., etc., etc. And they're acting on what they feel is cool, popular, etc., etc., etc. So I don't find that a problem, as she put it. I find that a problem for them. And the problem that it creates for them is they aren't developing their young people, similar to the way that the United States isn't developing their young people. So that means all of the people in the United States and in those countries are seeking alternative sources for how to, you know, move and how to progress within their life and find their values. And they're finding their values in a lot of pop culture that unfortunately black people revolve around. But it's not only just black people in pop culture now. So this is why that statement is capped, because all of the green lights that are given for that sort of mischief and mayhem that they're describing is greenlit by white folks to make money. It's greenlit by white folks who run entertainment companies like reality shows and so on and so forth, social media, to make money. So once again, you're putting a target on the back of someone who you want to be a proxy for the real person with the horns on, who is actually moving the needle and making and stirring the pot and, plucking and throwing the monkey poo all over the place, throwing the rock and hiding the hand. And then, when you say things like, young black people are the problem, sometimes things and events erupt like this. So that's right, you saw it. That's the situation that erupted in Chicago, maybe about a week or week and a half ago, um, between some Hebrew Israelites, some brothers, and a Palestinian group that was protesting downtown. Now, what's interesting is that the whole thing popped off when the Hebrew Israelite was called the N word. You know what I'm saying? Somebody from the Palestinian contingent called the cat the N word, and then boom, dude just stole on him. And then that erupted the whole thing into this big street brawl that you just saw. Now, what's interesting about both of those things is that the Hebrew Israelites believe that they have a claim through the lineage of the Bible and the genealogy of Shem that they are the true Israelites. So there is no need for Jews because the Hebrew Israelites, you know what I'm saying, the 12 tribes of Judah are the Hebrew Israelites. And they're not wrong. We've done plenty shows about it. We've talked about it. We went through it ad nauseum. Go back to the old when we were on Periscope. We dissected it. Go buy the book Arthur Koestler, The 13th Tribe, and go buy the book The Water Flows Eastward to look that stuff up and get the confirmation on that. And you also Rabbi Shmuley out of New York City, if you get some of his older debates with some intellectuals, he agreed to that very thing. Now the Palestinians have always had this kind of, anti melanated folk in America type of energy. And um even though many people in America and black folk in America can see and have some sort of understanding for what's going on with the Palestinians over there and their oppression and in the apartheid that they're going through, it does not give them the right to mock our struggle. And see, they have no problem making that a pecking order or making that a rule of thumb when it's convenient. And then when it's not convenient, both groups want sympathy and both groups expect, melanated people to stay in their corner and be in their corner. So it's just interesting, man. I'm showing all sides of this argument. I'm showing all sides of this ongoing saga as it develops. That is just the latest. Okay. Um, so power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. LA Sheriff's Department grieves and searches for answers after 4 employees died within 24 hours. That's right. Those employees died from suicide. They took their own life. And those were dedicated officers. Some of them were sergeants, some of them were lieutenants, some of them were detectives, and they took their own lives within 24 hours, within 4 hours of each other, within a span of 24 hours. And everybody is pearl clutching, and everybody is really going crazy over this and asking and wanting, asking questions and wanting answers and trying to get to the bottom line of why this happened. And I've been one that has always said that um, I've always been one for police reform and to defund the police so that we can put that either the money or the logistics of what they do in a more concentrated way to benefit the community and the people, like the 10th Amendment states, right? But these people want to act crazy like they don't understand the type of lifestyle that police officers have, right? And the type of standards that they're told to live up to, and why that could create some sort of PTSD, and then resulting in four of their officers taking their lives, right? But let's go back to this here. Authorities charge 10 current and former California police officers in corruption case. Maybe this has something to do with this. Authorities have charged 10 current and former police officers from Northern California departments in a federal corruption investigation. They said Thursday, as they outlined a range of allegations from engaging in fraud aimed at boosting pay to violating residents and citizens' civil rights. How about it? How about it? Right? And then what about this? California cops, um, who are they? What they did and why some are still working. A 6-month investigation found more than 80 law enforcement officers with rap sheets still employed today. Wow. So when the chicken come home to roost for officers who are doing the dirtiest of the dirty to all people and violating people's due process, their civil rights, and violating habeas corpus, bring the body to the court by profiling and shooting people, especially melanated people, then you understand why this becomes an intense situation and one that should be in this 2024 election cycle on a presidential stage. But they stay away from things like this because they don't want smoke. They don't want smoke. They stay away from shit like this. And it's cowardly and it's out of control. And um they need to be this needs to be on the presidential docket. It needs to be on a congressional voting block. People need to be voting for this at the ballot. Should we have wide sweeping police reform? You know? And then if this was on the ballot, then that would stop the connections with Israel and their police training and their military training efforts. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Power to the people news. Wait, what just happened? This just happened. Chi-Town, black residents threatened to turn Illinois red over prioritizing the immigrants that are sweeping the nation. So black folks in many, many town halls throughout Illinois and in the city of Chicago are super, super mad that they can't get the sort of public uh, funds and they can't get the sort of attention and allocation of public funds to them so that they can further their, citizens' dreams and hopes and so on and so forth. But it seems with $9,000 stipends going out to immigrants and shelter and, in New York, they're, using university dorms to house these people. This is better than some people who are on Skid Row in New York, Chicago, Miami, and California have. And these people have a right to it simply because they came over here in mass and we don't have anything else to do with them. Wow, crazy. But this raises another question, right? This raises another question because this is going on. The GOP kung fu fighting. So if anybody has seen the recent Republican debate and you've seen Vivek Ramaswamy and what he had to say about the current state of the Republican Party, then you realize that he ran down a ledger of goofs, blunders, brain farts, and warts that are all over the Republican Party, outside of the fact that black people want to make Illinois a red state. Now, the reason why black people want to make it a red state is because they're tired of not having their needs and wants taken care of by the Democratic Party that they supported. But this isn't a this side of things isn't any good either. Because in order for them to decide on who is going to be their nomination for president, they have to symbolically and literally tear each other apart. So is this the party Illinois folk that you want to run to? Who got their saber tooths out right now and they drooling from the mouth and they bloodied and bludgeoned each other just to, attract voters? That ain't no better than the Democratic Party, I'll say. You let me know what you think. It's time for us to have a permanent third party, a permanent, heightened, and respected third party in this country that's melanated centric, that will take care of our needs, issues, and wants, not just call us, people of color or POCs. All tides don't lift all ships. Of course not. We all have individual needs as communities based on our plight and our lineage. So that doesn't help. What I want to show you guys is an interesting tidbit, right? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of something called the Powell Memo. Let me see if I can put this up. The Powell Memo. And what is the Powell Memo? Shout out to Tom Hartman. I watched the Tom Hartman program, and he is a very knowledgeable cat who talks about the Powell Memo. And it's the Powell Memo that went out that changed in the late 60s, early 70s. The Powell Memo went out and changed the face of government. And why am I saying it changed the face of government? Because it took the bankruptcies of the United States, it took the Great Depression, it took the 1913 switching off the standard, it took the 1974 switching off the standard and raised the bar of it. And I'm gonna go on YouTube right now and pull it up so you guys can see it. And I'm gonna share my screen so you guys can tune in and see what Tom Hartman has to say about the subject, right? Um, and what does it say? Powell Memo. And what's interesting is that Powell, even though he wrote this really damning memo about the corporate takeover of the US government, right? He wrote that memo, and a sitting president of the United States made him a Supreme Court judge, which I found to be super interesting. So let's check this out. This is called the Powell Memo. And for all those who think that jumping the party ship is the answer to partisan politics, you got another thing coming. Check this out. The Powell Memo, U.S. Chamber of Commerce Real HD show. Check it out. I'm going to try to put this on really fast. Share my screen.
Won 13 of the last 16 cases it's participated in before the Supreme Court. You could call it the corporate capture of the highest court in the land. And following President Obama's meeting last week with the top CEOs in our country, they may have a good chunk of the executive branch too. But there's a larger issue here. The bigger picture is how the U.S. Chamber got this ability. And the way that they got this ability was in August 23rd, it's over here now, August 23rd of 1971, a judge by the name of Lewis Powell, or a lawyer at that time, wrote a memo to Eugene Sindor Jr., who was the director, the executive director of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, about how the chamber could influence. And in this memo, he had these bullet points, and each one was elaborated on. You can easily Google this thing, just Powell memos. All you have to do is plug into Google, and you can read this thing. 1971, Lewis Powell was saying that there was a neglected opportunity in the courts. These are his words, quote, neglected opportunity in the courts. That there was an opportunity to be molding public opinion. That business had the opportunity to do this and wasn't aggressive enough in doing it. Influencing.
Okay, now when he says molding public opinion, remember what Facebook did when Trump was getting elected, and how Cambridge Analytica had a hand in determining the election that Trump won because of their mischief on Facebook. Let's continue.
Academia, an entire little chapterlet about how to go after the schools and colleges.
Okay, so here we go. So now we're talking about how to go after the schools and the colleges with these interesting tidbits that support big business, right? So now you're talking about all of the gender based policies that are taught on college campuses. And now they're trying to make schools, even schools, littered with decision making in the hands of children who are illiterate, but they could decide about medical procedures like puberty blockers. They could decide on medical procedures like that will make them a trans person. And all of these things are being philosophized about and being made into permanent culture on college campuses. Because if you discuss it on a college campus, and then that college person goes on to be a professional, and they take this as a part of their learning process or their adaptation process to American society, now they're caught up in this intersectionality, this bleeding of societal philosophy that is rooted in nothing but corporate greed. Let's continue.
How to influence course content and the selection of professors and tenure and the whole thing.
Isn't that cute? Isn't that what DeSantis was doing in Florida? Wasn't he banning books? Wasn't he editing school curriculums? Let's continue.
To influence textbooks so that they would tell a more conservative, pro-business story of America, basically even rewriting American history. He talked about how lawmaking could be influenced through lobbying, that the Chamber of Commerce should be aggressively lobbying members of Congress. Up until that point, they hadn't been. In fact, business had basically taken a kind of back step. He talked about they could influence television and radio, the content of it. How do we influence the variety shows? How do we get Ed Sullivan to, these are the details, but this was the implicit mission. How do you get the people to talk about how do you influence Walter Cronkite? And radio, of course, books and other media. In fact, actually, he said books, magazines, paperback books, and pamphlets, books and other media. How do you influence those? Through second party. He talked about the need to influence, quote, the neglected political arena. Right? In other words, step into politics. Maybe even float some candidates. This Lewis Powell memo of 1970.
Isn't that what Mayor Bloomberg did? Didn't he jump in? Didn't he wholesale fund whole political campaigns, and then himself, as a millionaire, billionaire, run for office. Powell memo, here we go.
One said, and here's Lewis Powell, political power is necessary, that such power must be assiduously cultivated, and that when necessary, it must be used aggressively and with determination.
And there that is. I'll stop sharing now, and I will go to Brother Mozzie, who just joined the show. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling all right, man.
Good,
Middle of the
man.
week.
Good. We just sitting here kicking it, man. We're talking about how Chi-Town wants to, and Illinois wants to paint their town in their state red, because they're fed up with the anti-melanated politics that the Democratic Party, who they pledged their support to, has treated them with over the last however many long years. Let's just say 40, for instance. But what they don't realize is that the party that they're trying to flip to is going through this. I don't know if you saw the last political debate. Did you catch any of the replays or anything like that?
No, I haven't really caught any any debates. I've heard the highlights.
Yeah, same here.
And I'm familiar with the talking heads that they have. And I think what's going to happen to us is we might jump out of the frying pan into the fire, or pretty much out of one frying pan into another. I think what we need to do is put ourselves in position to where, our vote is very important. And we need to not only exercise it, but we need to demand something. Our biggest problem is we don't demand nothing. We just vote with no demands.
Yes, sir. I was showing them, I was putting them hip on to the Powell memo. Are you familiar with the 1971 Powell memo that went out to Nixon?
Yep.
Yeah. So that was a divisive way, a Willie Lynch way, if you will, to, in the same vein, influence politics with corporate intentions. And then, you'll see in the future that businessmen who have no, experience in politics, one term, officials are turning around and running for governor, president, and all sorts of things.
Yep.
And these people are corporate. Their success is corporate lineage. Just like Vivek Ramaswamy, that's his background. It's not law, it's not political science where you can prove that you studied, that you could run a country, or you studied that you could manage a budget of a state or a city or a country. It's because you were a businessman. So if that doesn't show that we are living in a delusional world here, I don't know what does, man. And that goes back to the topic that we brought up the other times, whether it's time for a true third party in America, headlined and centralized by the wants and needs of melanated folk. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's par for the course, man. I think what's happening now, especially now, is you've already had two businessmen basically get into politics. Bush and Trump. And so people feel that Trump was pretty successful. So why not ride those coattails? And I think that's what's happening with Vishwami. He thinks that, hey, I'm articulate. I can argue the point. And if you listen to him, he's just a more polished version of Donald Trump.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
He's much more articulate, and he's much more polished, because he says off the wall things like, when if he was president, that he would fire every every government employee whose social security number was an odd number.
Right. Yeah, he has some interesting. He has some really crazy crackpot things to kind of get off, and I just wanted to know what your opinion was. He was even on the Breakfast Club.
Well, they're fighting for survival now. Their show, so they'll put anybody on there.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with him being on there because I think he needs to be exposed, and we need to hear what he stands for those who won't read or certain channels we stay away from, or if you don't have cable. So here's an opportunity for people to listen and understand where this guy is at. But
Right.
in the end, is what are we gonna do? We know the Democratic Party has basically been, just jacking us off, man, and leaving us, and doing what they want to do and pushing all types of craziness down the pipe. But then on the Democratic side, they don't even care for us. Also, but that's just the plight of the black man in America. No matter what side you go to, it's the lesser of the two evils. And which ones hate you most? At least right now, I would say this about the Republican Party, is on the surface, they appear to be pro-family. And they appear to be winning with those gynocratic politics. And they appear to be, hey, we need to look at what's happening in terms of some of the policies we have that are crippling our country economically. There you go, creatures of Jekyll Island. Oh boy.
Yeah, man. So the reason why I showed that picture is because this is not new. So you'll have like the Federal Reserve Board, as it was created in 1913, took a vacation to Jekyll Island to kind of amalgamate themselves, to reaffirm their standings and the plan that they set to put out for business banking and hegemony over America. So this is a picture of the group that headlined that function. And it says the Federal Reserve Board, as they took office in August 10th, 1914, Paul Warburg, John Skeleton Williams, that's an interesting name. We won't go down that rabbit hole. W.P.G. Harding, right? Adolph Miller, right? It says Senator. It says Charles Hamlin, governor, right? So he's a governor of the board, and then also William McAdoo, chairman. Go read this book, man. Creature from Jekyll Island, and you will understand how the financial structure of the United States has come to be, and also how this has come to be. Planned obsolescence. What is that? The intentional failings of a product, the shortening of a product's life, the manipulation of a market through a product. And this is how the robber barons of the world have become the powerful, the elite, the super rich, the super vaunted millionaires and billionaires that they've become. And now, with the Powell memo in play, they want to and have affected politics. So, in turn, you have the corporate people leading America. What's your thoughts on this, man?
It goes back to that same old joke. America has the best democracy money can buy.
Ooh, ding, 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 ding. Love that. Say more.
Everything's up for sale. Everything's up for sale in America. And because there's psychosocial maladaptations as it relates to blackness, they're preoccupied with that. So and most people are probably listening and say, well, I don't think they purposely set out to do that. When they create policies and do different things in this country, they think white and black. And then what they also do is when they think along white and black, they allow for everything to come into this country, and they have to decide where do they have to go. Are you going white or going black? Most of them go white. of course, they get that designation. But how they make their money is you're told, hey, you can go into black neighborhoods and do very well because we don't have any type of understanding of a lot of things. So we'll promote and buy anything that's not black or that's not in our best interest. So it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, man. It's they just got us. Who's behind the curtain pulling the strings? We just don't get it. I don't know if we try to get it, but if we were to actually do our study, we'll find out some serious things, man, and realize how we've been manipulated. And remember that saying by Malcolm, it's amazing that whenever they talk about white issues, they get Professor Emeritus from Ohio State and professor of whatever studies from Harvard, all the big name schools where all the big fatheads are supposed to be. And then let's talk about black stuff now. And then we'll bring black people in on the issue. And they get everybody from Dr. J to the cause, entertainers and athletes are the main people that they grab to discuss our issues. And of course, most of them wouldn't know an issue if it was part of their paycheck.
Well, let's talk about an issue that a lot of people don't know that I talked about last show that I wanted to get your opinion on, but you weren't on. Let's talk about it because you sent me this. So this is a Mozzie Black-tastic take, and I wanted to get your take on this. An alternative to the Suez Canal is central to Israel's genocide of Palestinians. Let's chop it up, bro. What's up with the Ben Gurion Canal that cuts into the Red Sea? Talk to us.
Well, as you know, ships are getting bigger,
and
the canals that were built, most of them are going on close to 75, 100 years. And so they can't handle the amount of super ships that they're building now. The technology is such, and they're building these ships that are so big. And so what they're doing is they need to create another canal because there's a lot of product coming out and through that area.
Can anybody say usurp the Suez Canal franchise, and now it's the Ben Gurion franchise?
There you go. And here's what's interesting about that. What right now is taking place is where they bombing the most. And Gaza.
Yeah.
They're bombing the north.
Yep.
And if you follow the trail of the new canal, it cuts right across the north of Gaza.
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe it's a coincidence. There you go. Maybe it's a coincidence. But you gotta put
up your air quotes.
Yeah, it's
allegedly
a coincidence.
Allegedly.
Exactly. Now they're building this new canal that's going to cut right across a certain area. So you got to wipe out the people. You have to. Because now you can build it with no problem. You don't have to worry about the threats because I can guarantee you Israel's security will be back on par with it's been all these other years. It's just this particular time, somehow it was a stand down or everybody was sleeping or it was a holiday. And, that's when all the striking took place because they're just bombing them indiscriminately, man. And that's what people aren't trying to understand. And we don't want to talk about, we can't speak about, is it real? But the reality is, man, that place is, Netanyahu, as they say, he's a bad man.
Yeah, he's got some affiliations, man. With the and for those who didn't watch the last show, they're trying to. How about them naming the Ben Gurion Canal after the leader that helped move them into Israel way back in the days in 48 when they acquired the land, and now they're going to name the canal after him. How's that for a power move?
Isn't that so ironic, man? And so outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that this is going down, and we worrying about, oh, but that was not right the way they attacked them. I'm like, are you guys familiar with what's going on in Israel and Gaza?
Right.
You know, these people, what do people even know what occupied territories is? I think part of that is the play on words and whether or not people in America who we know have been pretty dumbed down, they don't understand a lot of this stuff. They don't understand what some of these words mean.
Yeah, it says that many decades ago, the Americans proposed to use nuclear weapons to blast a waterway through the Negev desert, but the plan was never progressed. This is why it did not, and why there was some talk about the Ben Gurion Canal. Again, Israel pushes to destroy Hamas in Gaza. But wait, alas, one last thing we're going to talk about before we end for the night, because we've been on since 7. We're going on an hour and a half of the broadcast. Yeah, I'm not in my attic studio tonight. I got to do some renovations up there. I got to do some chimney work and stuff before the cold settles in too much. I'm gonna have some serious leaks in my house. But I want to put this up because this is another end game of this Gaza piece. Why Gaza Strip may be the city of the future. Urban life amid Israel-Palestine conflict is defined by violence and resource scarcity, conditions that a new book warns may soon be widespread. So this particular article was done in 2020. So this is old. It is not new. So you can go check that out. And also, there's another article, I can't pull it up at the moment, but they say they want to put smart cities all along the new Ben Gurion Canal. Smart cities. 15-minute smart cities. And is your man down with the WEF goofiness? Netanyahu, is he down with them?
I think he's down with, I don't know if he's down with the WEF per se, but I know he's down with the Committee of 300.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do know that his one of his Israeli officials that said that black young youth are the problem for Israel. She was definitely in Davos.
Yes.
You know, eating some tarts and some special made salmon. I know she got her fill in that particular joint. Check out the WF website. Check them out for Netanyahu and the Israeli financial minister. And it's just a crazy, crazy thing. Hey man, thanks for jumping on late. But the spot where I'm at, I have to kind of dip. They're getting ready to close. And we're getting ready to close this show as well. Thanks everybody for joining. We appreciate you. So just when Chicago was trying to assert themselves in a different electoral way, we have to consider the macro crap at play. Last word on this, brother. You got it. We're going to close out.
People, it ain't what it seemed. Please do your homework. Please do your homework.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you for jumping on late, man. We appreciate everybody that was rocking with us on our 5 Facebook channels: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. It's Instagram. Don't never fear. I'm gonna upload the show onto the platform. I just have to reconfigure some of my codes in the back page. So never fear. Like, share, subscribe. Share this with everybody you know. Get them in here. Let's have a higher discussion. Peace.